Man, I love these movies. I really want to get some of the minifigures. Let me have a look how much did they cost. Oh. Well, guess I gotta work with what I have. I really like The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and the whole world of Middle-earth J.R.R. Tolkien created, and like every good LEGO fan, I want to get some of the minifigures. Luckily, LEGO did release a new Lord of the Rings set recently, Rivendell. It features the whole main cast of the Fellowship of the Ring, but is also really expensive. And I can't afford throwing $500 at a single set right now, so I thought, you know what, I already have quite a handful of figures, why don't I just showcase those, and that's what I'm doing right now. So let's get into it. SARUMAN, played by Christopher Lee, has always been one of the coolest characters in Lord of the Rings for me. It may just be my fascination for wizards, but I really like him. LEGO also didn't hold back when making this figure, giving him an entirely new hair/beard piece, which has only been reused once since. The only thing you could criticize here is the missing leg printing, but I don't think it was necessarily needed here, and when they released another version of SARUMAN in the Tower of Awe thing, they got rid of this problem once and for all by simply giving him a long rope. Outside of that, I really like this figure. It's probably one of the favorites in my collection, and they managed to match his movie appearance here really well. But now, let's get on to the next one. Because we just talked about SARUMAN, why not get onto the next star, Gandalf the Grey? He's obviously the most famous, the one everybody knows, and therefore he is quite recognizable. This one is missing his cape and his head, which is just because this version didn't come with either. It's from the same set the SARUMAN I just showed you is from, and apparently they just didn't want to include any sort of head or cape. The figure still looks really good though, although I would have liked some leg printing since all the other printing is mostly covered up by his beard or hair, but both of those are pretty spot on as well, and the face matches Ian McKellen very nicely. Overall, just a good figure to have with a good link right to the next one. Our next minifigure to look at is Galadriel. Originally appearing in the opening monologue of Lord of the Rings, it took LEGO until 2014 to come out with this figure. It's probably the best looking one from the whole theme. There are very few that can compare in detail and overall composure to this one. The hair is the same one they use for a few other figures, but this is the only time we see it in almost a golden color. It's not blonde, which I like because I think it looks a lot better than any other light hair color we could have gotten. Her glittery cape together with her dress print also just bring the whole thing together, and overall this is just a minifigure I really like. And because we just talked about the hair, the next one actually uses the same one. This version of Elrond is the last one released in the original 2012 to 2014 Hobbit/Lord of the Rings run, and by far my favorite. It depicts him in his battle armor he wears in the Battle of the Five Armies during the Battle of Dol Guldur, and gold is just a perfect color for him. I wish we'd have gotten some more elven soldiers from that last Hobbit movie as well, just because I really like the armor here, and I'd have loved to see some more figures featuring that style. The hairpiece is, as mentioned, the same as on Galadriel, only this time in brown with a gold headband, and at least I think it matches his in-universe look really well. As you might have been able to guess already, I've kinda tried to assemble the White Council here. If you don't know what the White Council is, it's this organization of the most powerful people on Middle-earth with the task to prevent Sauron's return. We see them in The Hobbit, but they actually did exist beforehand with more members. The ones we see in the movies are Saruman the White, Gandalf the Grey, Galadriel, Elrond, and the one I'm missing, Radagast the Brown. I still really want to get that figure to complete my collection here, but looking at the current prices, I don't know whether that's gonna happen anytime soon. But already speaking of the Council's task of combating Sauron, let's look at the only version of him we've gotten so far. Now, this figure isn't called Sauron. It's called the Necromancer of Dol Guldur, but anyone that has watched or read The Hobbit knows it's Sauron in disguise. To be totally honest though, this figure isn't very accurate to what we see in the movie. In the movie, all we really see is a black outline and later Sauron's silhouette in his battle with Galadriel. But I get that they had to add extra detail to this figure, which in my opinion is a little lackluster. The face is really not intimidating at all and looks more like something you'd see in Scooby-Doo. For the torso, they could have probably done something more armor-like to match Sauron's appearance, but I guess this rather rudimentary printing is what we'll have to live with. Potentially we might actually see a real Sauron minifigure being released next year with the Barad-dûr, and I'm really excited to see if that's gonna happen, and if it does, how it looks. But if we already talked about Dol Guldur, we'll also have to talk about Sauron's allies in the fight against the White Council. The last figure for today is the Witch King. Technically, this should be the same one we see in the Lord of the Rings as well. His name is the Witch King of Angmar. He looks very different from his appearance in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where he's wearing a black robe and a whole nother helmet. I've also seen this one being called the Twilight Witch King just because of his glowing appearance, and LEGO definitely leaned into that. They used the same cape they also used on the Ringwraiths, which gives it some nice consistency across the theme, and the helmet looks really good as well. Now, I didn't mention the glowing appearance for nothing, because if you turn the lights off now, His head glows. It's just a nice inclusion that elevated the already stacked set this figure came in, and even though it might not be the most accurate, I really like it. I think you realize I really like these figures. I absolutely want to do another part of this. I still have Thranduil, Legolas, Tauriel, Gollum, and a few others lying around that I really want to talk about. So if you like this, tell me in the comments, and until next time, goodbye.